Well, we finally made it to Zurich after a 19-hour travel day, which is pretty hard when you get up in your 70s, but we made it. I will say a couple things quickly about the airports. Amsterdam is a huge airport, and yet I got nothing but good things to say about them. The customs people, the security people were helpful, they were courteous, they were quick. Our plane was a little late. They even opened up a special line to get us through customs, and they held the plane for us. So all in all, great job, Amsterdam. Now Detroit. Let's talk about Detroit. First of all, they are the winners of a brand new award I've just started on this trip. It's called the Random Destinations Triple S Award, and the Detroit airport wins it for the first time ever for being first a shitty airport with shitty people who do shitty jobs. Now that may sound harsh, but if you've ever traveled through Detroit, I think you'll agree. It's a place you don't ever want to go back to. At the end of this year, I'm going to do a lessons learned, and I will go ahead and talk more about Detroit Airport. In Zurich, our original plan was to leave the airport and catch a train and go by train from Zurich to Lucerne. However, as we walked out of the baggage area, we were promptly met by a Viking cruise line rep who was there to pick us up and drive us. And naturally, he was driving a Mercedes too, so very good first impression. And speaking of first impressions, Lucerne Old Town is very pretty. It's easy to walk to. The city buses are excellent. It has a huge train station, which underneath has a lot of shops and restaurants, and we spent quite a bit of time there. And the lakefront was beautiful. They were having some type of festival there over the weekend, and that was really a lot of fun. So we enjoyed Lucerne, even though the day was a little bit overcast and chilly. You may notice I don't have a lot of photos of Lucerne, and that's really because the first day was a wasted day. The Viking had put us up at the Continental Park Hotel, which was supposedly a 4-star hotel. Location was great. Room was kind of small. But overall, I'd be hard-pressed to give that hotel more than 2 stars. The check-in process was absolutely horrible, and that was both the hotel's fault and Viking's fault. And you would think after using that as a preferred hotel for the entire season that they could come up with a better way to get people checked in than have them sit in the lobby for 6.5 hours. By the time that day was over, I'd refused to talk to the Viking reps there or anybody connected with that hotel. I just absolutely hated it. However, we did get a good night's sleep, and the next day we got up and walked across to the harbor, where we boarded a small ferry ship for about an hour ride down Lake Lucerne. That was part of a golden ticket package we purchased online that included tickets on the ship and the Mount Pilatus and the tram back down Mount Pilatus, and then the transportation back to the city, and that was a great day. The cruise was great. They had a nice restaurant in there where my wife and I had coffee and croissants while we looked at the scenery, and the scenery was just beautiful. Along the way, looking at the roads in the background, you couldn't help but marvel at the engineering that goes into Swiss highways. Between the elevated roadways and the tunnels, they seem to have getting through the mountains down to a fine art. Now, other things that we noticed, particularly in looking at the shoreline, unlike in this country, it was incredibly neat and clean. Matter of fact, one of the things that I noticed was I never saw a house that had any signs of individualism. And by that I mean there were no swing sets, there were no toys in the yard, there are no junk boats, no cars, junk cars. I mean, it was just incredibly neat. Now I believe part of that has to do with Swiss society is very heavily regulated. Even our chauffeur talked about that. There are lots and lots of rules, and if you can't follow the rules, apparently you're not welcome in Switzerland. I don't know how well I do there, but I know going down, just like looking at these homes here, they look beautiful, but when you look at them, you really can't get a sense of who lives there or what they do, because they're all just too immaculate. But nonetheless, it makes for a very, very pretty cruise shoreline. We had one stop on this cruise, and that was at the town of Stansstad. This ship we were on operates as a ferry where you can commute back and forth to Lucerne, which I thought was really nice. But I would have loved to have gotten off there and wandered around, but knowing myself, if I had done that, I'd still be wandering around there trying to find my way back to Lucerne. I got turned around quite a bit in Europe. But anyway, we spent a few minutes there, let some people off, some other people got on, and then we went right back to cruising towards Alpenstadt, I think, and probably that's not how it's pronounced. I didn't do real well with German, French, Swiss German, or any other foreign language. As we cruised towards our final destination, we turned off the main channel of the lake up into a cove. I don't know what the name of this cove was, but it was very pretty. It was narrowed right down, so you got a real close-up look of the houses and homes along the way, and it was very pretty. I believe that's Mount Pilatus in the distance, at least the lower half of it. The upper part is in the clouds. But all in all, it was a very nice trip. I would have loved it to have been sunny and clear, but you know, when you book something a year and a half advance, you get what you get. And it turned out to be a great day either way. So I'm just going to let you take a look at this, and next week's episode we'll start at the ticket office and work up and hopefully find our way back to Lucerne. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you next week.